Today is Sunday, March 10th, 2019, and I'm Jack Kostecki. This is an interview I'm having with John Kostecki, who is my father. Thank you, Dad, for taking part in my interview with me today.
I'm happy to do it. No problem.
Let's start with you sharing your full name.
My full name is John William Kostecki Jr.
Okay, let's start the questions. When and where were you born?
I was born July 20th, 1964 in Buffalo, New York.
Okay. How many family members did you have, and describe their personalities?
Well, of course, there was my mom and my dad, and then I had 4 sisters and myself, so 5 children. I was the second oldest of the 5, and the personalities, they're all a little different. My dad was very focused on his work, spent a lot of time at work, but he was a good father. He was very, engaged, wanted to do a lot with his kids. My mom was kind of your typical homemaker, taking care of the house and the family. And then each of my sisters have a different personality. I would say my first 2 sisters are pretty type A, hard charging, very opinionated. And my younger 2 sisters are kind of more laid back, I guess, I would say.
Okay. What school activities and sports did you participate in?
As far as school activities, mainly just, typical class things. Didn't do a whole lot as far as other school clubs and things. Participated in, some school sports activities, typical classroom stuff. But the main sport I played as a kid was ice hockey growing up from age 8 till age 16.
Okay. Do you remember any fads from your youth or popular hairstyles or clothes?
Yeah, I think growing up as my younger ages during the 70s, I think the popular fads back then were typical 70s type clothing. Long hair was in. I had pretty long hair. Most people did back then. Jeans were in. Different shoes like clogs and things were in, jean jackets, that kind of typical 70s types of clothing.
Okay, what were your favorite songs and music?
I pretty much listened to what you call classic rock now growing up. Different rock bands like The Who or Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones. That was, pretty much my favorite music at the time.
Okay. Describe a typical family dinner. Did you all eat together as a family, and who did the cooking? What were your typical foods?
So, yeah, typical family dinner. Well, my mom did the majority of the cooking. My sisters would help out, or I would help out, but my mom mainly did the cooking. And we more or less ate as a family. A lot of times with my dad's job, he was not home until late some evenings, but, we would try to eat as a family for the most part. As far as foods, it was all pretty much things my mom would prepare, whether it was pasta was popular, spaghetti night, or we did different casseroles and things, or she would cook some chicken or maybe some steak once in a while.
Okay. Who were your friends when you were growing up?
Well, I had a number of friends, guys I played hockey with, were close friends all throughout, the ages, pretty much from 12 to 16. There was a core group of guys I hung out with. And then I probably had 3 or 4 close friends that I kept in contact with through grade school, like 7th, 8th grade, and then into high school. My closest friends at that time were probably a guy named Jeff, who I still keep in touch with today. Had some other friends, Greg and Kevin, Dave. Those are some of my close friends back then.
Okay. How were holidays celebrated in your family? Did your family have any special traditions?
Well, for
Like-
holidays,
Like birthdays and Christmas.
yeah. So typical holidays, birthday, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, those type of holidays. We pretty much did it with our main family, and then my dad's, either my grandparents would come over, and my dad had 3 brothers that weren't married, single, that they would spend most of the holidays with us as well. I don't know about special traditions. I know food-wise, my mom used to always cook a roast for Christmas, which was something we looked forward to every year. But that's mainly how we spent, most holidays.
Okay. Was there a naming tradition in your family, such as giving the firstborn son the name of his paternal grandfather?
Well, I don't know if it was a tradition per se, but yeah, my I'm named after my father, being a junior. So my father and I have the same name. I'm a junior, and then my father's dad, or my grandfather, also was named John, but they had different middle names. So I guess in that sense, we had 3 Johns in the family: my grandfather, my dad, and myself. As far as my mother and sisters, I don't think there was really any tradition as far as naming, but 2 of my sisters do share the same middle name, and then the other 2 share the same middle name as well. So that's about it.
Okay. How is the world today different from what it was like when you were a child?
Well, I'd say it's a lot different, mainly because of technology, computers, the amount of access to entertainment and things that kids have today that we didn't. When I grew up, it was mainly at first it was black and white television, and you had 3 channels, and that was it. If somebody had color TVs, that was kind of a novelty, or when I was younger, and then more people started getting nice color TVs. But I remember when a friend, I think it was around 7th or 8th grade, who had gotten cable, and that was the big thing. He had cable TV, and he had more than 3 or 4 channels. So that's completely different. Of course, we didn't have computers or cell phones and all that, So I would say the technological advances are probably the biggest difference between now and when I grew up.
Yeah. Now, like, your older life, where and when did you get married?
So I got married in Buffalo, New York, to my high school sweetheart, and we got married in Buffalo, and it was in August 17th, 1991, and we had dated since high school.
That kind of leads on to the next question. When and how did you meet your spouse?
Oh, okay. So we met through a good friend of mine, Jeff. I had mentioned Jeff was a friend of mine way back when I was, in grade school. I met Jeff, and then Jeff had a sister who was a year younger than me, and my wife and your mom, Sue, was a good friend of hers. So that's how we met. They kind of met through my friend Jeff and his sister.
What is the full name of your spouse?
Her full name is Susan. Her full married name is Susan Shanahan Kostecki. Her maiden name was Susan Mary Shanahan.
Okay. What is your profession and how did you choose it?
My profession, I work for the last 22 years. I've worked for a company called Oracle, and it's a software company. And I work in the product development area as a product manager or product strategist for applications, enterprise business applications. How I chose it, I was working for another company doing consulting, and a friend or business associate of mine alerted me to an opportunity that Oracle had, and they were hiring some people within their development organization with a specific skill set that I had. So that's how it's basically a referral by a friend that I had to Oracle. So that's how I got into that job.
Okay. If you could have any other profession, what would it have been?
Well, at one point I thought about being a doctor because my father was a doctor. So that might have been something else I would have done somewhere in the medical field. But I'm actually pretty happy in terms of the way things worked out. I had a few different types of jobs growing up, and this was probably the best one I had.